What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Ethan's Exotic Escapades. Today I'm in Charleston, South Carolina, and we are going to go to the aquarium. So let's go check it out. If you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe to join the tribe, and let's get started. I'll see y'all there. Here we are. This is the South Carolina Aquarium in Charleston, South Carolina. Let's go ahead and walk on in. All right, this is the walk on the way up to the front door. You can see this beautiful view. And in the background over there, that's actually a battleship, the USS Yorktown. Now I've made it into the front door, and let's get started. When you walk in the front, you're greeted with this really big tank. And there's a whole bunch of different types of fish in here, but my favorite is this guy. That is a scrawled filefish. There are also some porkfish, long-spined squirrelfish. It looks like some of the smaller fish are leatherjack. There's also a couple black damsels in here, and then there is a gray angelfish right there. I also saw a couple of tangs in here, but there were just so many fish in here, I couldn't catch them all. Moving on, still staying downstairs, they have this turtle rehabilitation center, where you can see this guy right here. This is a green sea turtle, and he has some barnacles on his shell, and he's needing to get some rehabilitation. Sadly, a lot of our turtle species today struggle in the wild due to our pollution habits. So if you care about sea turtles or any wildlife, I would make sure to recycle. Recycling makes a difference. If more people do it, then there will be less pollution. Right beside that guy, you can see another sea turtle that is in this rehabilitation center. I'm not exactly sure what's wrong with this guy, but hopefully he'll get better soon. In this next tank, there are a bunch of lionfish, and these guys are actually venomous. And another cool fact about these guys is that they are invasive in Florida. There are also some red groupers in here with them, and red groupers get really big. I mean, look at how big this guy is. He is humongous. And then you can see some of the smaller guys down here. Here's a better look of the big guy. Moving on to the next tank, this guy right here is a black grouper. And then there's a gray angelfish right there. And then up at the top right there, that is an ocean triggerfish. I always think these guys have funny mouths. And the way that they move their fins is awesome. There are also some vermilion snapper and red snapper in here. And then right down here is some more of those long spine squirrelfish. There he goes, swimming off to the left. And there was also a French grunt right behind that guy. And then there is this guy who thinks that he's hiding. That is a flounder. And flounders have both of their eyes on the same side. You might not can see it, but over there in the back was a scorpion fish. And then they have two different species of porgy in here. One of them is about to go right by the screen. There he is. I believe this guy is a knobhead porgy. And as we move up, we can see a triple tail right there, that big old guy. He is humongous. He kind of looks similar to a grouper. There were a couple other fish I didn't get on camera. If I miss any fish, make sure you let me know in the comments. Next up, we have a tank that's full of a whole bunch of types of fish. Over there on the left were some tomtate fish. There they are up there. There's one swimming by. As well as some spot-tail pinfish. There's one down there towards the bottom. That longer fish on the bottom left was a sand perch. There are also some yellow jack right there. There's one swimming by. Kind of has a moon-shaped tail. There are also some bank sea bass in here, but I didn't really see one. And then you can see the triple tail right there, that big guy that we saw from earlier. There's another one. He's swimming across the top there. And it looks like there was some kind of filefish swimming in the back over there. And there also is supposed to be an angelfish in here, but I don't see it. Look at these two guys. That one was bullying that other dude. And there is a triggerfish right there. Heading upstairs, there is a bald eagle enclosure right here. And you can see this guy right here. Let me get close so you can see a good look of him. This is a bald eagle. Despite its name, they're not actually bald. They just appear to look bald because of their white head. I believe this guy actually got hurt in the wild, and that's why he's here. Right beside that guy, it looks like there is a yellow belly slider, just chilling right there on his rock. How can you not love turtles? Heading through the doors, we actually got to some freshwater fish. These guys would actually be naturally from a river or some type of water with fast-moving current. I believe those little guys were baby trout, but I'm not 100% sure on that. And then down here, there's a guy chilling out right here. It looks to be some type of trout. I'm not sure. I couldn't see very good. But we head on down a little bit more, and we get to these guys. These are for sure trout. I believe there were some brown trout, rainbow trout, and maybe some brook trout in here. Trout are extremely fast swimming fish. This is what allows them to swim in such fast currents. Look at this guy coming up to the glass. Right beside the trout was something very cute. Yep, it is a river otter. Actually, I think there were two of these guys in here. And yep, there's one of them right there, swimming all around in his enclosure. And oh, he's coming up to the glass to meet us. Oh, that guy's saying hello. And they're just having a blast in the water. You can see how that guy can swim upside down. River otters actually eat fish as their main diet. They also have webbed feet, which allow them to swim very easily in fast-moving water. They are so adorable. They remind me so much of a dog. Even in the wild, these guys are extremely playful, just like they are in this tank. One other interesting fact about these guys is they can actually close their ears and nostrils when they go underwater. This can help block water from getting into their ears and nostrils, especially if it's fast-moving water. Bye, guys. After leaving the otters, we come up to this tank right here. There are a variety of different shiners in here, so I'm just going to name the different species that are in this tank. There are whitetail shiner, war paint shiner, fiery black shiner, and one other type of fish that's not a shiner. This is actually a darter. More specifically, a sea green darter. Next up are these robust red horses, which you can see right down here. There's a couple of them. There's one right there, and he got his buddies with him. There were also supposed to be some bluehead chubs and some yellowfin shiners in here, but I couldn't find any.
That's because that's what it is.
Moving through, we found this tank right here that has some long-nosed gar in it. That's one right there. These guys are awesome. They have incredibly sharp teeth, and they are more of a sit-and-wait predator. There are also some red ear sunfish in here, as well as some warmouth. This guy right here is a red ear sunfish, and the guy right behind him is a warmouth. Here's a better look at the warmouth here. Moving through the tank, there are also some largemouth bass and crappie in here as well. There's a really big fat boy right there, and we are actually going to nickname him Big Chungus. You can see how big he is. Back behind him, you can see one of the largemouth bass. And then over here, right there that we just passed, and over on the left, that is a black crappie. Let me zoom up on this guy so that y'all can get a better look at him and see his pattern. He does not want to be on camera. He just turned right around. Well, next up, we have an enclosure that's full of tree frogs. There's so many different types of tree frog in here. If you want to, I would maybe pause the video and see how many of them you can find in here. There's some green tree frogs up here on the branches, and there are also some squirrel tree frogs in here as well. There were also some pine woods tree frogs in here, as well as some Cope's gray tree frogs. Those actually are my favorite tree frogs. It's very important for tree frogs to stay wet, because if they aren't, they will dry up. This next tank has a variety of different small fish. There are rosy-faced chubs, eastern mosquito fish, tessellated darters, golden shiners, and bannerfin shiners. Oh, and of course dusky shiners. Since there's so many small fish in here, it's a lot harder to show each individual species. I do love how they made this stump with a little cave that they can go in. And this right here is one of the darters that I was talking about. They like to chill on the bottom. And then here's one last look at all these little buggers. Look at all of them swimming around. I wonder how many fish are actually in this tank. I'm probably gonna say at least 5. The next enclosure we have has a chicken turtle in it, which you saw right down there, and there's supposed to be an eastern king snake in here as well, but I don't see him right now. Do you guys see him? And there's also supposed to be an American eel in here, but I actually couldn't find that guy. Well, I found the king snake. You can barely see him. He's under this log right here. I think he is trying to take a nap. And then we got to this really big tank over here that had a whole bunch of long-nosed gar. And it also had some fish in here that I believe are some type of sunfish. I'm not 100% certain on that though. There also used to apparently be an albino alligator that was in this as well, but sadly he passed away. I just think it's so crazy how these long-nosed gar just sit there and wait. It is so crazy. Next up, we have this tank that is simulating a pond, and there is a bunch of duckweed. That's that plant that's green in the front there. And there's supposed to be an American bullfrog in here. I don't know if you guys can see him or not. And there's also supposed to be a mud turtle. Do you guys see him? How about now? There he is. That is an American bullfrog. And that guy is humongous. I guarantee you if I took him out of this enclosure, he would definitely be bigger than my hand. Yep. Off to the side of that frog enclosure, there is this little enclosure that has some little bitty fish in it. And there's one right there. And then over on this side, there is a rock. No, that's actually a turtle butt. That little guy is a turtle, even though he looks like a rock. And then, of course, on top is some more of that duckweed plant. And then there's a fish right here. This fish actually looks kind of like a blue acara. I don't think he is. And then there's this guy that was just chilling up there. After passing that little enclosure, we got to this big enclosure that has alligators. These are little baby alligators. Well, not little baby. I mean, these guys are not super duper small, but they are definitely not full grown. I just want to take one of these guys home. Although these guys are small, they still are strong enough to tear you up if they actually bite you. And then there's also some small fish down there. I'm not exactly sure what kind of fish those were. They did look very similar to mosquito fish. Right beside the gators were some venomous snakes. Here they are right here. This one in the front is a canebrake rattlesnake. You can see the pattern that it has going down its body, as well as the rattler right there. That is how you can tell that this snake is venomous, as well as the way that their eyes look. And then in the back, you can barely see them, but that is a copperhead back there. You can tell if a snake is a copperhead by the Hershey kiss-shaped pattern that goes down their body, as well as their triangular-shaped head. And now you can see his head pretty good. Yep, this guy also has the same kind of eyes that rattler snake does. Both of these snakes' eyes look similar to cat pupils, actually, and that's how you can tell that they're venomous as well. The rattler snake also had a triangular-shaped head as well. Right beside those two venomous snakes was actually a snake that's not venomous. This is a Florida pine snake. He's also in here living with a gopher tortoise, which I'm going to show you that here in a second. Both of these guys actually share a symbiotic relationship in that Florida pine snakes will actually use burrows that gopher tortoises make, and they'll share the burrow. In return, the snake will protect the burrow. Sadly, gopher tortoises are struggling in the wild. Moving on from the reptiles, there's this humongous tank. I believe it might be the tallest one in the country, actually, but there are so many different species of huge fish in this tank. There are sand sharks in here, and there are nurse sharks, and there's also a cow nose ray in here as well. And you can see him swimming by right there on the left, going behind the fish, and there he goes. Towards the middle of the screen, there are 2 tarpon that are swimming by right now. There are also some sheep's head in here, as well as some barracuda. There's one of the nurse sharks swimming by right there. The big fish in here that kind of look like carp are red drums. Let's see if we can find one. There's one right there behind the shark swimming by. And there seems to be a lot of bubbles coming up over there. I wonder what kind of fish that is. I also believe there are Jack Crevalle fish in here as well. And that's a sheephead right there with the black stripes. Wait a second. That guy's not a fish. But this big dude over here is. And that is a barracuda. They are terrifying looking. Kind of like this shark right here. Just swimming by slowly. Let's see what Mr. Scuba Diver wants. Hello, buddy. That was me waving. That fish is huge. That fish actually looked like it was some kind of grouper, actually. Would you be able to swim in here like this guy? Or fly in here like this guy? That guy is so funny. Hopefully the sharks don't get too hungry. Nah, he should be fine. He's giving everybody high fives on the glass. See you later, scuba diver. Back behind that humongous tank, there's this little tank dedicated to this guy. This is a sargassum fish, and these guys actually are venomous. He can blend in extremely well with this greenery that they have. You can barely see him. Next up, we have this tank that has yellow jacks and blue runners in it. Yellow jacks have a more vibrant coloration than the blue runners. Here's another look at how big this tank actually is. This is the tank that has all those sharks and all those huge fish in it. And when you see it like this, you realize how ginormous this tank is. I wonder how much money it costs to keep this tank. When I came back and looked at this large tank, I could see this puffer fish and that we actually haven't seen before, and he's swimming off over there in the distance. I mean, I could look at this tank for hours, and I swear every single time I look, I find some new fish that I haven't seen before. Here's one last look at this big old tank. I'm going to show it from the top all the way back down to the bottom, where I still am finding new fish that I hadn't seen before. All right, I guess it's time to move on. The last thing that's in this room, actually it's 2 things, are 2 different species of jellyfish. These are the lion's mane jellyfish, and they are super vibrant in color. You can see that guy up there, and then there was one down there. And then right beside these guys are the moon jellyfish, and these are even more beautiful than those last jellyfish that we just saw. Look at how many of these guys they have in here. And did you know that jellyfish don't even have brains? It's so crazy to think that these guys are alive despite not having brains. After leaving that room, we came to this really cool enclosure that had these very shiny fish that like to school. I'm not 100% sure what kind those are. And then these guys up here that had stripes. But the coolest thing in this tank was what I already showed y'all at the very beginning. And that is this green moray eel. He did not want anything to do with looking at the camera, so we just have the front of his head. But I promise you, just look these guys up. They are absolutely gorgeous. And the rest of his body is inside of that tube. Right beside the eel tank, we have the weirdest looking fish that I've ever seen. This is a polka dot batfish, And this guy looks so weird. He really kind of looks like a frog. And there wasn't only one of these guys. There actually is two of them in this tank. The other one's over here on the other side. It looks like he's kind of grumpy. I think he's mad at the other one for something. I don't know. But these guys walk around like they're people instead of fish. Right next to those really weird walking fish, there was this common octopus. And he was reaching out of his shell that he was hiding in for his little toy ball. I thought it was so adorable that they have a little ball in there for him to play with. And he loves that shell. There's also supposed to be some type of flounder in here, but I tried looking for a super long time and I could not for the life of me find where that flounder was. But this guy's cool enough. Before I left the room, I actually noticed in the same tank as those weird walking fish, there was a leopard seraphim, and he was just hiding in the sand right there. I can't believe I found him. Next up is this small little tank that has a northern pipefish, which is that weird looking fish at the bottom there, and it also has a lined seahorse in there with that pipefish, which I thought was actually really cool. The pipefish kind of looks similar to the seahorse in the face a little bit, I think. Here's a little bit better video of the pipefish. It was kind of hard to get a very good, clear picture of it, but this is as good as I could do. In the next tank, there was a scrawled cowfish, which is this guy right here, and he kind of does look a little bit like a cow, I guess. And then there was also some sea stars in here. There's one right there, and then there's a couple over there. And there's also an eel, and he was just hiding right there under the rocks. This guy's very pretty. He looks a little bit like a banana, I think. Right around the corner from that tank, there was this shallow tank that you actually can pet these fish in here. This right here is a chained dogfish, and I went down to pet him, and he had no issue with me petting him whatsoever. They also had some horseshoe crabs in here with all these other fish, and of course, I had to attempt to pet this guy too because I wanted to see what the shell felt like. There were also a variety of different sea urchins, which were those spiky balls, and then some shells. And these shells, some of them actually had big hermit crabs in them. I mean, this guy is humongous. I think this is the biggest hermit crab I've ever seen in my life. Way bigger than my hand. Close to that shallow petting zoo, there were these shrimp in this long tank right here, and they were just having them a good old time. It looked like they were having a shrimp party. They're moving their little legs. Right in front of those shrimp, there is this shrimp, and this is actually a mantis shrimp, and this is my favorite shrimp. They are extremely strong, and they actually use their muscles in their body to crack open shells, and they are extremely painful if you get hit by one. Right next to that was this striped-legged slipper lobster, and they're named this because of the way that they move whenever they are trying to get away. And there also is a golden moray eel that's under him, just chilling under him for whatever reason. I have no clue why, but he's just chilling there. Right beside the slipper lobster was this big old stone crab. And I've heard that these guys' pinches are extremely strong. So watch out for these guys. Then stepping outside, they have this saltwater marsh that they have enclosed. And they have a whole bunch of different types of fish in here. I'm going to show y'all some of them down there. And my favorite actually was this guy. Look at how cute that guy was. There were so many of them in here. These cute dudes actually are called burrfish. They look very similar to pufferfish. They are closely related, but they're not actually pufferfish. Hiding up above all the tanks were these weird-looking birds, and these are spoonbill birds. And I'm sure you could tell why they get that name, and it is because of their really weird-looking bill that they have. Here's a look at the biggest tank that was in here. in the salt marsh area where there's a variety of different beautiful fish swimming around. I think it looks so beautiful when fish are swimming in schools. On the other side, there was the striped fish and then this really weird looking fish. I'm not 100% sure what he is, but he looks like a sculpin. In that same tank, they also had these diamondback terrapins, which are these turtles right here that are swimming around. And they have super pretty heads. They have spots on their heads and super beautiful patterns. I think this guy had some kind of issue with his shell, but he looked to be swimming just fine. Right as I was trying to leave, this big old boy tried to say hello to me. So I figured, time for your screen time. And then I show a couple of these other fish that we did actually see in the bigger tank. They had way bigger sizes of these fish in the really big tank. But and then those were some ducks that just went by. But, oh, there they are. They're just swimming with each other. Before leaving, I had to stop by the gift shop because my girlfriend wanted a stuffed animal, so got to get her a stuffed animal. But I noticed that all the stuffed animals that they have here have this 100% recycled plush. So these actually were made out of recycled trash, which I thought was really awesome. As I was leaving and I was walking back down the ramp, I noticed that there were a whole bunch of fiddler crabs in a bunch of their hiding holes that they had made right here in this little marshy area. And I can't believe I didn't see these on the way in, but they're everywhere.
That's going to do it for today. Thank you for joining me on this exotic escapade. If you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe to join the tribe, and I'll see you on the next one.